eliminate the word retirement from your thoughts, because retirement is something you should never do. And I'm a huge advocate of why you should never ever retire. Because simply the moment you start thinking about retirement and that moment of that thought comes into your brain that I'm going to retire by a certain age, that automatically sends codes to your brain that I'm getting ready to shut down, I'm getting ready to devalue myself, I'm getting ready to quit, I'm getting ready to prepare myself for death. Because that's what the brain's doing. Never ever contemplate the word retirement. It doesn't matter what age you are. Retirement is not a word you use, and I'm a big advocate why you should never ever tell your brain that you're going to retire. I'm never going to retire. I will never retire. I see some of my students right now, and a lot of my students, they're over the age of 65, and I can't believe these people are retired. They shouldn't be retired. They've got so much to offer. They've got so much talent. They've got so much experience. A lot of these people could be running big companies right now. I kid you not. And it's wasted talent. And it's the society has basically said to us pretty much, hey, once you get to a certain age, start to wind down. No, wrong. You keep winding up. Because remember this, if the gap between your best self and your current self starts to grow, that's when addictions kick in, that's when depression kicks in, that's when anxiety kicks in, that's when all these nasties kick in, like anger and victimhood, because the goal is for everyone to get as close as they can to their best version. And every single human being has genius genes inside them. And so when you actually send codes to your brain that I'm retiring, okay, what that code is basically saying, there's a lot of data on this, and I've seen a lot of evidence on this. You're basically sending codes to your brain saying, well, now it's time for me to start shutting down. It's time for me to prepare for death. And I know there's a lot of people that are retired and they go on these massive holidays and they find these new passions and all that's fantastic. But that's not enough for the brain. The brain needs to be solving problems. The brain needs to be creative. The brain needs to be pushed. The brain needs that value, because our self-value needs to always keep rising. If your self-value just stays static, it doesn't. Self-value either goes up or down. It doesn't stay static. It never does. So when you're using the word retirement, automatically the brain's coding itself. So you're reprogramming your own brain in preparation for death. I talk to people in their 40s and 50s and they're talking about retirement. Think about it, it's so stupid. Because you're sending programs, you're sending messages to your brain, you're coding your brain in preparation for retirement. Before you've retired, you're already sending these codes to your brain. It's just crazy. Eliminate the word retirement. Now, the reason why a lot of people want to retire as they get older is because they want to escape from jobs that they hate. Because most people have come out of a flawed education system with a fixed negative mindset, thinking because of a flawed grading system that their choices were very, very small. And so they jumped into jobs that they didn't necessarily like, but they were the options. That was the way they were going to make payments on their expenses. That's the way they were going to survive. But what happens was their best self and their current self, the gaps kept on getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And this is why we have so much addictions in there. This is why we have so much negativity and anger. This is why I always emphasize people want to escape, and so they think of retirement. Oh my God, I've got 15 years to retire. I can escape from prison and have some freedom at retirement, they say. But I say this, once you find your ecstatic desire, it's not just a passion, it's not just a hobby, it's not just a problem-solving skill or creative, it's a combination of all that times it by 1,000 just to discover your ecstatic desire. Because the moment you discover your ecstatic desire and then you start chasing, your self-value is going to skyrocket. As your self-value skyrockets and exponentially grows, you will never ever retire, because you will be living the life of that ecstatic desire. And when you're living that life, there's no limits to where you can go. There's no limits to the people that you're going to meet. There's no limits to your brain and your capacity to do things and potentially change the world.